Hey, everybody, and welcome to Intuitive Tarot Tuesday with Tori. Okay, so I just thought I'd sit outside before the next deluge of rain comes, and I wanted to play with my tarot deck a little bit. This is an older deck. As you know, some of you know it's the Hoi Polloi, which Farrell Humphrey mentioned to me one day, and I was like on a post, and I went, is that what that's called? So what I want to do today is work with the idea of intuitive tarot and how I would look at a card that we know a traditional meaning to and perhaps tap into my inner wisdom about it. And I'm going to show you the two ways I would look at a card. So let's, for example, I'm going to shuffle. And one of the things I've been talking about in some of these posts is a lot about reversals. But today I'm going to talk about right side up. So we know the Ten of Wands, right? So this card, the Ten of Wands, obviously shows someone burdened, overburdened, trying to balance himself. He's not even carrying those. They're carrying him, really. He's about to fall over. And we know that the Ten of Wands in a traditional interpretation is going to be about being overwhelmed, overburdened, anything over. It's overwhelmed. It's not like, you know, I can handle this. It's really that maybe taking on too much. So when we know this, and we know that as we look at the wands here, one of the things that comes forward to me is the idea that how I would look at this. Okay, so here's how I want to back up and say, let's tap into this together. So one of the things that happens to me energetically is I start thinking about you. The person who's listening, who's reading with me. This is a partnership. And so as I tap into this, the first thing that comes forward to me intuitively is that feeling of overwhelm. And it's not just the words that are on the page that's with the deck that it says overburdened. Really feeling overwhelmed and needing a rest. This kind of, and by the way, it really depends upon who's sitting in front of me that's going to change that meaning. But I also feel like the idea of taking on so much that we can't see anything. So if you look at the card, and we're looking at this card again, this young man or young guy, is not looking, he's not looking up. He's not even seeing what he's holding. It's not even being aware of anything. It's almost like collecting so much information that you can't even write it. You know, it's one of those funny things as a writer. For me, what comes forward in this is the idea of having all this information and not being able to write because you're so buried in the weight of the information. So we have to look at what begins to happen if we say, okay, I've done enough research. I've done enough of this. What's the next step? And also taking into planetary considerations. Now, we've just gone through a new moon in Leo. We're also facing, as we're looking at this, because it is summer 2018 as I'm recording this, so we're looking at Mercury's about to go direct in the next week. And so as we look at this, a Mercury direct could actually tumble all this. It actually could say, you know what, you're going to drop everything. Because in a retrograde, we might be trying to overdo it. We might be trying to pick up so many pieces of the past that we actually are breathless and can't carry it. So as you begin to see, what I'm doing is I'm taking some of the things I know about what's going on and some of the things that are current for me, you know, in that overwhelm, feeling, you know, like there's so much research and not enough progress. So if we look at this, he's not really progressing, right? And remember this, and I've been saying this in some of my other videos, is that a new moon is an internal contemplation. A full moon is an external contemplation. So as we look at this with the planetary influence right now, a new moon, this is really not being able to look at what you're holding. It's almost so internalized and so overwhelming that it's like they're going to fall apart in the full moon. This is all going to fall anyway. So you might as well see what's going on ahead. Now, this might, when I say going on ahead, you might want to look at this and say internally, I'm taking on too much. So this can actually be an opportunity to look at what I need to simplify, what I need to take out in order to really really go forward. Now, obviously, he's not moving. Look at how those wands are almost hitting the ground. He's actually not making any forward progress, which is interesting intuitively when we look at the fact that Mercury is supposedly in its fixed station. It's not really retrograde, but it's not moving the way it normally would. And so this person is not moving the way a normal person progressing would actually progress. So I'm going to pull another card, and the Hanged Man. I absolutely love this card. I've been having this little romance with the Hanged Man. In my new deck, it's the Hanged Woman. But one of the things I want to talk about with the Hanged Man, which I think is very important, is we know that it's suspended decisions, right? So we know that that's if we open a textbook on it, we know Hanged Man, unsure, suspended decisions. We can look at all of those, and we actually know that's true. So this is overwhelmed, overburdened, and not deciding to make any moves. So if we look at these two together, right, we bring them together, we actually know the full story is someone who's overburdened and kind of frozen with it, right? So let's separate it out for a minute and look at these intuitively. So if I'm feeling into it, what does that mean when I'm feeling into it? Well, that means for me that I'm going deep inside and I'm feeling how I feel. What's coming forward to me in this moment, unfiltered, is the idea that I'm actually enjoying the stretch. This is funny, but energetically, oh, Owen, my dogs, they're going to bark. Of course, I'm doing this. Energetically, it's almost an enjoyment of a stretch. It's an ability to just go, oh, I don't know about you, but when I have done inversion, it's just been like heavenly because I get to stretch in a different way. So what this is saying to me right now is stretching in a different way. Now, if we go back to what I predicted here and we take that new feeling interpretation with it, stretching in a different way, which is the blood rushing this way, this is also not forward movement, but it's a new perspective. So what we're looking at here, if I put these two together energetically, is this particular burden may be that I'm really not moving forward with any of this. And it may mean for me that I need to it's almost like an energetic stretch, like pulling the vertebrae and just loosening up the spine a little bit to kind of get space in my body. Remember, it's an internal conversation when there's a new moon. So feeling that space in my body and just breathing, I might want to drop about 8 of these wands. Say. So what begins to happen, maybe 9, what begins to happen is how many wands do I need to drop to be able to progress? And the truth is that to get back to the original idea, I may actually drop them all, or I may only drop 9, which may bring me to the ace. So if you see where I'm going with this, that in order to move forward, leave him alone. He's a fierce food protector, so I can't do anything about it right now. But you get the idea that the way I just interpreted this for you is a mix of what I know to be traditional, mixing with the way the planets are right now, just a little bit, and also my intuitive interpretation of what I would need internally based on this new moon. Now, if it was a full moon, I might interpret it differently, and we'll look at some of those cards when the full moon comes up in a couple of weeks. I hope this was supportive of you in this week and gave you some new ways to look at the fabulous, amazing, juicy, wonderful tarot card journey that we all love. I love tarot. I don't know about you, but please write your comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And also make sure that you jump on and follow the page, subscribe to it, and make sure you check out the Card Reading Magic Summit coming up in September. And I will see all of you real soon. Have a great week, everybody.